Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Auntie Grace Speaks. Today's story is one that I almost didn't tell, because it is so painful, so familiar, and so deeply, heartbreakingly common. This is the story of Beverly Ann Collins, a woman who gave 22 years of her life to a man she trusted completely, only to discover that the biggest lie wasn't hiding in another city, another phone, or another woman's house. It was hiding in her own home, right in front of her eyes. Beverly grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, the second of 4 daughters raised by a single mother named Ida, who worked 2 jobs and never once complained. Beverly learned early what strength looked like. It looked like tired eyes and warm hands and dinner on the table, no matter what. She met Gerald Collins when she was 26 years old at a mutual friend's cookout. He was tall, charming, and laughed at everything she said. He brought her flowers on their second date. Real flowers, not gas station flowers. And her mother said, "Baby, that man is trying to impress you. Let him." They married 2 years later. Beverly wore her grandmother's pearl earrings. Gerald cried at the altar. She never forgot that. She held on to it for a long, long time. They built a good life together. Gerald worked in finance, regional manager at a firm in downtown Charlotte. Beverly was a high school English teacher for 18 years. She loved her students like they were her own. She stayed late. She answered emails at midnight. She bought school supplies out of her own pocket. They had 2 daughters, Renee and little Maya. Renee was serious and brilliant, already talking about law school at 15. Maya was the funny one, always performing, always making the whole house laugh. Beverly loved her life. She truly did. The house was warm. The dinners were good. Sunday mornings were quiet and slow and beautiful. And Gerald was a good husband, present, attentive. He remembered her birthday every year, took the girls to soccer practice, fixed things around the house without being asked. Or at least, that is the man Beverly thought she knew. It started small, the way these things always do. In the spring of their 19th year of marriage, Gerald began staying late at the office. Once a week at first, then twice, then 3 times. Beverly didn't think much of it. His firm had taken on a major new client. The pressure was real. She had seen the stress on his face, heard him on work calls that ran past 10 p.m. She understood. She was a working woman herself. She knew what professional pressure felt like. She kept dinner warm. She kept the house running. She gave him space. That was her first mistake, not the suspicion. The grace. She gave him too much grace, too fast, too quietly. By the second year, the late nights had become routine. Gerald was home for dinner maybe 3 times a week. Sometimes he came home after the girls were already in bed. Sometimes Beverly was asleep when she heard the front door. She started to feel it, that hollow feeling wives know. The one that lives in your chest and whispers something is wrong, but your mind refuses to believe it because believing it means everything changes. She told herself, he is tired. He is stressed. He loves you. You have 19 years. You have 2 daughters. You have a good marriage. She told herself that so many times it became a prayer. In the 3rd year, Beverly noticed something that she couldn't explain away. Gerald had always been a man who came home tired, quiet, ready to shower, eat, and sleep. But now, on the nights he came home late, he seemed almost lighter, relaxed in a way that work exhaustion doesn't produce. His eyes were brighter. He smelled like he had recently showered somewhere that was not their bathroom. And once, just once, Beverly noticed a small smudge of something on the collar of his white dress shirt. She didn't say anything. She washed the shirt. She put it back in his closet. And she lay awake that night until 4 in the morning, staring at the ceiling of the bedroom she had shared with this man for 20 years. Beverly had imagined many things in the dark hours of those sleepless nights. A co-worker, a woman from his gym, someone young and uncomplicated who didn't know what a mortgage felt like or what it meant to raise children through a pandemic. She had not imagined Sandra. Sandra Hayes had been Beverly's closest friend for 11 years. They had met at a neighborhood block party the summer after Sandra moved in 4 houses down. Sandra was recently divorced. Funny, sharp, and warm, she and Beverly had bonded immediately over a shared love of old movies and strong coffee and honest conversation. Sandra had been at Renee's graduation. She had held Beverly's hand in the waiting room when Maya broke her arm at 12 years old. She had sat at Beverly's kitchen table through 3 different heartbreaks that weren't Beverly's own, just being there, the way a true friend is there. Beverly had trusted Sandra with things she hadn't told anyone. Her fears, her doubts, the nights she wondered if she was doing enough, being enough, loving enough. The truth came on a Tuesday afternoon in March. Beverly had left school early. A migraine had sent her home 2 hours before the final bell. She pulled into the driveway and noticed Sandra's car parked at the curb. She thought, "That's nice. Sandra must have stopped by to drop something off." She walked in through the front door. The house was quiet, too quiet. And then she heard voices from upstairs. "I won't tell you every detail of what Beverly found in her own bedroom. I think you already know. And I think you understand, without me describing it, what it means to stand at the top of your own staircase and have your entire life rearranged in a single second. What I will tell you is this." Beverly did not scream. She did not cry. She did not run. She stood in the doorway. She looked at both of them. And she said, in a voice so quiet it was almost a whisper, "Get out of my house. Both of you. Right now." And then she walked back downstairs, sat down at her kitchen table, and waited. Gerald tried to talk. Sandra tried to call. Beverly answered, neither. She called her sister Diane first, then her mother Ida, who was 73 years old and still sharp as a tack, who said, "Baby, you listen to me. You did not cause this. You did not deserve this. And you are going to be okay, I promise you." She told Renee and Maya that evening. Renee cried and then went very still and very cold, the way serious people do when they are deciding something. Maya cried loudly and completely, the way honest people do. Beverly held them both and said, "This is not your fault. This does not change who your father is to you. And it does not change who I am to you. Not one single thing." Gerald came back 2 days later asking for a conversation. Beverly gave him 20 minutes at the kitchen table. He said it had been going on for 2.5 years. He said he hadn't meant for it to happen. He said he loved Beverly. He said he was sorry. Beverly listened to every word, and then she said, "I believe that you are sorry, Gerald. But sorry doesn't give me back 3 years of mornings I spent worrying about you. Sorry doesn't give me back the nights I lay awake telling myself I was imagining things. Sorry doesn't give Sandra back either. I lost a husband and a best friend on the same afternoon." She slid a piece of paper across the table. It was her attorney's contact information. She said, "I would like you to be out by Friday." The divorce took 8 months. Beverly's attorney, a woman named Patricia, who had the energy of someone who had personally witnessed too much betrayal and decided to do something about it, made sure Beverly received what she was entitled to after 22 years of marriage. The house was hers. Half of Gerald's retirement accounts were hers. The girls stayed with Beverly during the week. Sandra moved away that summer. Beverly never spoke to her again. Not out of bitterness. Beverly is not a bitter woman. But because some doors, once they close, simply should not reopen. The first year was hard. Beverly will tell you that plainly. There were nights she ate dinner alone in a kitchen built for 4 and felt the silence like a physical weight. There were mornings she drove to school and sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes before she could make herself go inside, but there were also slowly quietly other things. There was the Saturday morning she woke up with no one's schedule to manage but her own. And she drove to the farmer's market alone, bought herself fresh flowers and good cheese, and sat outside a cafe reading a novel for 3 hours. There was the evening Renee called from college and said, "Mom, I've been thinking, you're one of the strongest people I know. I want to be like you when I grow up." There was Maya, 18, and brilliant, who started leaving little notes on the kitchen counter. Things like, "Dinner smells amazing," and "I love you, Mom," and once, simply, "You okay?" 2 years after the divorce, Beverly School asked her to become department head of the English program. She said yes. 3 years after, she started a small community book club for women in her neighborhood, women of all ages who came to her living room on the first Sunday of every month to drink tea and talk about stories. The group grew, then grew again. Beverly called it the open book. She said, "Every woman here has a story, and every story deserves to be read." Today, Beverly Ann Collins is 53 years old. Renee passed the bar exam last spring. Maya is in her second year studying communications. Beverly still teaches, still leads the open book, still makes dinner for 2 every Sunday because she likes the leftovers, and because her mother Ida, now 80 years old, comes over every week without fail. She is not looking for another Gerald. She is not looking at all. She is, for the first time in a very long time, fully and completely at home in her own life. My dear friends, if Beverly's story sounds familiar, if it sounds like someone you know, or someone you are, I want you to hear this clearly. The betrayal was not your failure. The staying silent was not weakness. And the rebuilding, that slow, quiet, dignified rebuilding, that is one of the bravest things a human being can do. You are allowed to grieve what you lost, and then you are allowed to build something new. Beverly did it, and so can you. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. New stories every single week here on Auntie Grace Speaks. Every story here can change your heart.